Girl friendship matters just as much as male friendships. They should be nurtured, they should be maintained and intentionally preserved, even when life starts to change. Hi, guys, it's another episode of In My Headspace Podcast where I get to share my thoughts on relatable matters, things we don't always talk about but think about a lot. And today we're talking about something that has really been on my mind for a while now: girl friendships. I've always found myself wondering, why is it that girl friendships tend to shift so easily? You know that feeling when someone who used to be very close to you and all of a sudden the connection just isn't the same anymore? And the funny thing is, most times it's not even intentional. It's not like there was a big fight or a major issue. Sometimes people just grow differently. And I've noticed that this shift happens a lot, especially during life changes. For example, relocation, marriage, and all of that. Now, relocation I can understand. To some extent, I feel like life gets busy, environment changes, especially if someone moves to another country. The adjustment alone can be overwhelming. But when it comes to marriage, I find myself asking a lot of questions, honestly. Why does it feel like once marriage comes in, some friendships just, they just fade? And the interesting part is, when you look at men, it doesn't always seem to happen the same way. A lot of men still maintain their friendships, they're still connected, still checking in, still showing up, still going for their boys' hangouts. But for women, it sometimes feels like everything becomes centers around the home, the partner, and the responsibilities. And I'm not trying to blame anyone here because sometimes it's not even the partner. Sometimes it's just women adjusting, evolving, embracing a new phase of life. Because trust me, I know marriage can be a lot sometimes, especially when it comes to those responsibilities. But it still makes me wonder, can this friendship still be maintained? Is there a way to grow without completely losing those connections? I remember being at an event once and I overheard something that really stayed with me. So, someone told the bride, now that you are married, you have to be careful with the kind of friends you keep. You shouldn't mingle more with unmarried people, you should mingle more with married ones, and all of that. And that got me thinking. Because I'm just trying to understand, does being unmarried suddenly make someone less valuable as a friend? Because at some point we were all single. We shared those same spaces before life started to change. So what happens in that transition? Why does it sometimes feel like the connection just reduces or disappears? And I'm not speaking from a place of criticism. I'm a woman too, and I value friendships deeply. And yes, I've outgrown some friendships also in the past. Not because of conflicts, just growth, you know. And we still greet, we still check up on each other, but the closeness isn't the same. And that's normal. But what I'm trying to understand is, why does it seem to happen more quickly or more intensely, especially with women? And maybe the question is, are we even intentional about keeping our friendships after those life changes? Because honestly, I feel like losing friendships quietly hurts more than we like to admit. So now that I have talked about how friendship shifts, but I also want to talk about some other things that are deeper. Let's talk about the fallouts, let's talk about the distance, let's talk about the comebacks and even secrets. Let's start with fallouts. Not every friendship ends because of a big fight, by the way. Sometimes it's misunderstanding, lack of communication, pride, or even things left unsaid. Because sometimes it's not even what happened, but it's mostly things that are left unsaid. So I find myself asking, is it possible for friendships to come back after a fallout? And honestly, I think it is. I believe that sometimes friendships can come back or even remain strong, but it really depends on a few things. One, it depends on what caused the fallout in the first place. It depends on the individuals involved because one person cannot want to fix everything. It has to be a mutual agreement and it has to be a mutual effort. There has to be willingness from both sides, intentional effort to rebuild what was lost, and also what caused the fallout plays a huge role in what friendship looks like afterwards. Some things are easier to move past, and some things just completely change the dynamics completely. So, yes, friendships can come back, but how they come back depends on the people involved and the situation itself. Then, there are friends that didn't even end. It's just distance. You know that feeling of you guys didn't fall out, you guys didn't have any issue, but distance just started growing, and before you know it, nobody's checking up on each other anymore. No one is talking, no one is saying anything, and the distance doesn't always mean disconnection. Sometimes life just happens, and if you really want to reconnect, it doesn't have to be something big. Sometimes all it takes is a simple message like, I've been thinking about you. How have you been? It's been a while. Quick, that mindset of saying, oh, you've forgotten me, because you both forgot each other. So one person can be the bigger person and ask the question. But let's be honest, we women can be a little dramatic sometimes. We're waiting for who we text first, who we call first, and sometimes that pride is the only thing standing in the way. But at the same time, not every friendship is meant to come back. Some friendships end because people grow differently, and that's okay. I don't understand. No one says you have to have a permanent friend for the rest of your life. However, y- the ones that are worth keeping, of course, is worth maintaining and intentionally preserving as well. Now, this brings me to another question. In close friendships, is it okay to keep secrets? This is something that I've also been thinking about and I've been talking, and I'm going to give my own personal view on whether or not keeping secrets, how it should be, and what not to happen. Personally, I believe there should be a level of openness in close friends. For someone like me who is not a big sharer, I can understand sometimes when people don't want to share. But then again, I'm not saying you should share your everyday life, every single details of your life to me, because even me, I'm not a big sharer, like I said earlier. But there are certain things that shouldn't come as a surprise. If something major happens in your life and I have to find out somewhere else, it makes me question that depth of that friendship. Things like getting married. How do you be in a relationship and down to proposing and down to planning a wedding and I didn't know about it and you call me your close friend? Or should we talk about maybe relocation? I've seen a lot of people say, oh, they found out their friends were relocating online. They didn't even know that it was in process. They didn't even know that they were preparing for it. They didn't even know anything and they just found it online. Or having a baby. When you carry a few human beings for 9 months and I didn't know about it, and maybe I'm just finding out online that, oh, this person has a baby. These are big moments. And if I find out online personally, especially when we've been talking, it changes how I see things. Not necessarily with anger, but with adjustment. I now understand where I'm placed in your life, and I also tend to learn from what you also taught me, not sharing as well with you. Then naturally, I would also adjust the level of access you have to me. And that's just being honest. But at the same time, I understand that people have their reasons. Privacy is valid, and not everybody will have the same level of access. But then again, not everybody is a witch or a wizard. If you call somebody close friend, really, you should be able to share certain things and it shouldn't come out as a surprise to them, especially if the person also shares with you. That's my own personal take. And this is where boundaries come in. I think boundaries are very important in friendships. Knowing what to share, when to share, and who to share with. Understanding that even in close friends, people still have personal space. And also respecting when someone cannot show up for you the way you expect them. I think that's where labeling of your friends come in place. You might have 5 close friends, but it's always good to label them. There are friends that might understand certain topics more than the other person, but they are still all close friends to you. So, yeah, and also respecting when, boundaries don't really mean that someone loves you less. It just means that you understand yourself and you understand the limits of the friendship. Now, beyond fallouts, distance, secrets, and boundaries, how do we actually maintain these friendships that truly matter? Because friendships don't just survive on vibes. Except from if you have vibes upon vibes friends, they need effort, not loud effort, just intentional effort. So I'm going to be walking you through some of the things that I think is really important that you should include while trying to maintain a friendship that will necessarily not make you feel like you're doing so much or you have to really compromise so much. This is some of the things I've done. And trust me, for someone who has friends that are all over the place, I think I'm someone, I will consider myself that I'm in a distance relationship with most of my close friends. So some of the things we do that still keeps the spark going, that still maintains the friendship, I'm going to be sharing it here. So number one on my list is intentional communication. And each time people hear communication, they think talking every day. I don't speak to my best friend every day. I don't speak to most of my close friends because I know that everyone is working, everyone is busy. We're all busy. We're all, evolving. And so, not talking every day, but checking in, being present, and staying connected can really go a long way. You don't have to wait till you are called. You can just pick up the phone and check up on your friend. Don't wait for your friend to always call. Number two is giving grace. I cannot even emphasize on this one. You know, when someone doesn't call you back when you call or doesn't text you back almost immediately, maybe like it takes days before they reply your messages or call you back, or weeks or even months, give them grace. You don't know what someone is going through, especially those ones that are really working, maybe outside the country, that have a lot of shifts, that have a lot of things, life and all that. We don't know. So you have to give your friends grace. I hope you're not among those people that when your friends don't check up on you, that's the end. It's over between you people. No, you don't always know what someone is going through. So life gets busy. People are dealing with different things. Not every silence is personal. Trust me, they want to reach out. So give grace. Number three is removing comparison. So just because someone else who is also my close friend calls me all the time, and then I have another close friend who doesn't call me all the time, it now makes the person who doesn't call me all the time a bad person, or that the person doesn't value our friendships. No, not everyone shows up the same way. One friend might call every day, another might check in once in a while, and it doesn't always mean one loves you more than the other. It's just them trying to, work with their own schedule and the time that they have as well. So, number four is making time when it matters. Calls are good, texts are good, but sometimes creating out time to see each other. If you guys are in the same city or in the same state or in the same country, bond still matters. Showing up for those little things, if you can, by the way. For example, let's say the person's birthday party or stuff like that. Because not showing up doesn't necessarily mean that you're a bad person. But if you can, in all honesty, you can. Try and show up. Number five is accepting growth. If you started being friends with someone as a teenager, you guys cannot be the same even when you're 30. People change. Life happens. There are a lot of changes that come with life. You will change, the friendship will evolve, and you have to move with that change. Of course, the change should now aim towards being a positive change and not just remaining backward or feeling left out and all of that. Because at the end of the day, friendships are beautiful, but they require effort, understanding, grace, and the ones that truly matter would always find a way to stay. Not every friendship is meant to last forever, by the way, but the right ones will always feel like home. And if you're a woman listening, and probably life has happened, you've lost most of your friends, you feel alone, this is your reminder to understand that you shouldn't be alone. Pick up that call to call those people you care about. Always remember that before you became a married woman, you were once a girl who cherished and loved friendship, who loved and adored everything about girl friendships. You don't have to do life alone. Marriage can be tough, responsibilities can be overwhelming, so you need your girls to unwind. The same girls that were your bridesmaid, you need them to unwind and talk. A video call, an audio call can go a long way. Try and breathe and live again. And with that, we've come to the end of today's episode of In My Headspace Podcast. I really hope this made you reflect. Maybe this is your reminder to check up on that person you care about and you've been waiting for their calls. Call first. It doesn't make you less human. It doesn't make you less mature. It doesn't make you look thirsty. It makes you understand that you care and love this person. So tell me, have you ever experienced a friendship fallout? Have you ever reconnected with someone? What's your take on secrets in friendship? And what do you do to maintain friendships that really matter? Let's talk about it in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and even send it to someone who might need it today. And you can also send to those your lovely friends, reminding them that you love, you care, and you are always with them, no matter any circumstances that come around. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you in my next episode. Bye.